Now, it is not just about resisting oppression, but it's also engaging in actions that heal those who cause it from their own fear and their own manipulation of fear. And I want to distinguish here between the term fear and manipulation of fear. Because yes, in many regards, fear is real and it exists. But we also have to deal with those, even within Israeli society, who are manipulating the fear for their own political or ideological needs. And of course, all of this is covered publicly by the term they call security. But all the underlying is fear and manipulation of fear. How do I deal with a person who is really afraid? And how to deal with a person who is manipulating fear are two different questions. I believe that it is our role and responsibility as Palestinians, and I want to specifically say the Palestinian Christian community, to take responsibility in this issue. I truly feel that the world has completely ignored and neglected the fear that exists in the Jewish community. The world has thought by giving money and giving political legitimacy and giving political power, a surplus of power, that everything will be okay. So the challenge for us as Palestinian Christians, and especially within the evangelical community, what do we do in order to provide lasting healing to this land and all those who live in it? And I have several points on this. First, we need to realize that we have used a language in the past to describe the issue in a way that only creates opportunities for deeper victimization and violence. One of the famous lines you hear Palestinians say is that they are doing to us what happened to them. They are the new Nazis. And these are, very emotional and very strong words. But this line, which I have even used myself in the past, I have discovered that it only creates the dead ends. It allows for both communities to fall into deeper claims of victimization and argumentation. So we begin to argue, are they doing this to us? Are they doing the same thing to us or not? And they argue, no, we're not doing the same thing to you as what happened to us. And we completely ignore and neglect the fact. And this, of course, creates for bitterness, revenge, anger, excuses, and justifications. Just imagine for a moment if we create the distinction in our language alone. And as Palestinians, we begin to use a line something like, they are treating us in a way that was born out of their horrific experiences that they had. For me, this allows for possibilities. It allows for recognition of pain and suffering. Not blaming the victims or the perpetrators, and allows for actions that address both our and their pain and suffering. Language is important. Second, it's very important for us to speak the truth as the truth, not to allow our ego, interpretations, justifications, even opinions to lead us into affecting the truth as the truth. We sometimes engage in falsehood because we allow our anger to take over and distort us from God's truth. In his letter to the Ephesians, Paul said, "Put on the new self created to be like God in true righteousness and holiness. Put off falsehood and speak truthfully to your neighbor, for we are all members of one body." It is vital for us as the Palestinian Christian community to be a voice of truth in the suffering, not only to be speakers on behalf of our people, but all peoples around the world, including the Jewish people, who suffered and continue to suffer. My personal opinion is that they have also not had the opportunity, as I said, to engage in healing. So let us speak the truth as the truth. Third, we must not let anything or anyone intimidate or lead us to lose focus or be off track with being in and answering to God's will in our lives and the lives of others. We must not create in our words or deeds anything that allows for bitterness or hatred to be planted in the hearts of any other human. In the same letter, Paul writes, "Get rid of bitterness, rage and anger, brawling and slander, along with every form of malice. Be kind and compassionate to one another. Forgive each other, just as Christ God forgave you." This does not mean that there will be no anger and no feelings of being violated. But let us challenge ourselves through God's grace to always seek the ways that allow for inner healing in order to engage in words and actions that fully and completely put an end to those actions that cause bitterness and anger. Healing is important. The fourth point, seek the justice of God for us and our people and for the Jewish people. The righteous cry out, and the Lord hears them. He delivers them from all their troubles, according to the Psalms. And in our seeking of God's justice and God's kingdom, then everything shall be added unto us. We have to be fully aligned in what we seek as justice and how this fits into God's plan for justice for all of humanity. Yes, as Palestinians, we seek justice and we call for justice. And we need to challenge ourselves as the Palestinian Christian community, how aligned is this justice with God's justice and peace for all? The last point, my favorite point, engage in continuous acts of love to your oppressor. For it is not a choice we have as followers of Jesus to love the other and to love the enemy, but it is a commandment that we are to abide in. I will not accept any argument that says that engaging in actions of expressing God's love to the other undermines or underestimates our goal and aspirations as Palestinians, or to make us look as if we are weak and vulnerable. It is only in strength that you could express love. And for me, I do interpret these acts of love through my involvement in nonviolence and nonviolent action, and in speaking words that allow for this deep healing to take place. We must love and must forgive and must engage in opening real opportunities for the other to also love and engage and forgive. Too many apologies, too much compensation, and too much guilt has been spread, and not enough forgiveness and closure have happened. So the 5 points for me are truth, healing, justice, love, and nonviolence. And my call at the end to the local Palestinian evangelical community, as Dr. Manfred has so perfectly said, it is time for us to take lead in this work, to develop within the experience of the Holocaust and the experience of our Nakba, the catastrophe, not the undermining or surrendering of our legitimate aspirations as Palestinians, but engage in the actions and the words and develop our theological understanding for the Holy Land that heals and creates possibilities for this sacred land to be a beacon for God's love, mercy, and thanks to him, his continuous forgiveness.